Hello YouTubers, my name is Attila Mate from Blue Sky Photography, and today I would like to talk to you about a topic which is really important, and probably some people, they don't really like to talk about this because it will offend some people, but it is very important to talk about, I'd say. And that topic would be, will you be a better photographer if you own a fancy camera? Now, guys, I have to tell you that many times, and many people these days think that if you buy a full frame expensive camera, I'm a better photographer. Is that true? I tell you something. No, it's not true, and yes, it's true. It's very, very complex question. It's not very easy to answer, but I will try to explain over here my opinion. And this is my opinion. If you don't agree with it, no problem. We don't have to agree all the time. Feel free and leave a comment down below in a polite manner, please. And we can discuss it, But in my opinion, camera gear is important to achieve the right exposure and the sharpest, cleanest image possible. Now, why is that important? Many times I hear people saying, photographers, especially famous photographers, they will say, the camera is not important, the photographer is important. Yes, yet they are using a 10,000 euro Hasselblad. It's a very tricky question, and I tell you why. They will tell, yes, the camera gear is not really important, but they forgot to say something over here. The camera gear is not important when we speak about the artistic value of the photo. Definitely true. Because just because you have a sharp image, you have a clean image, you have good dynamic range in your camera, good ISO performance, you get a very clean, sharp and poppy image, that image can be worthless because it has no artistic value. But, here's a big but. If you have a great picture which has great artistic value, and it is well exposed, it is well composed, it tells the story, because that's the reason of the photos should be to tell the story, and that gives the artistic value of the photo. But if you have one photo like that and it has all this, but in the same time it's full of noise and it has shitty dynamic range, excuse my language, and it has all this, I don't think that your customers would be very happy to see that. Now that's why I say that you must be careful when you say these kind of things, that, oh, the camera gear is not important. No, it is important, because at the end of the day, you are not photographing for yourself. Most of us, photographers, you would like to sell your images. Now, if you want to sell your images, you have to be able to give images to your clients which they will like. And if you give an image full with ISO, with noise, and full with bad dynamic range, and they don't really like it. I guarantee you, if you put an image in the front of the client, and I did try this several times. I did try images shot with the Nikon D90, which was a famous camera, I tell you. 12 megapixel, if I'm not wrong. 12 megapixel, yes. Famous camera, I tell you. APS-C size camera. And another picture shot with the Nikon D7200. And I put it in front of the clients, and straightforward they pointed at the image with the Nikon D7200. Why? Because the sensor is newer, the image is sharper, poppier, nicer, well exposed. It's okay, you can expose well with the other sensor as well, but you don't get the same dynamic range, the same noise. It's not the same. So, in my opinion, if we look at these kind of things, the camera is really important. Second point, better autofocus, easier job. At the end of the day, 20 years ago, everyone used manual focus, so it's possible also with manual focus. It's not a question, I use manual focus many times. I have manual focus lenses. That's not a problem. I learned photography using manual focus. But autofocus, it's easier. Simple as that. If you are in a fast situation, autofocus, it will be much more easier to do your job. So if you have better autofocus on your camera and you have to track your subject, definitely it's easier. It's not that you cannot do with the other one, but it's much more easier. And if you have a crappy camera, maybe you cannot get the shot. So camera gear, yes, it is important in this manner. Now, like I said, dynamic range, better dynamic range, easier post-processing after the in post work, you know. In the past, when I learned photography, you had to be careful to nail the exposure, especially with film. I was using a film with ISO 400 or ISO 200. If you didn't nail the exposure, it was overexposed or underexposed. You could fix a little bit in post, even with the film, because when they developed the film, they could fix it. But the problem it was that it wasn't that easy like here. So you had to nail the exposure in the past. Now with the dynamic range, in these days, you know, these cameras have very good dynamic range. And with these dynamic range cameras, you know, it's very easy to recover the shadows, you know, or the highlights. It's not a problem, one stop, two stop, you know, it's not a big issue at all. So is it possible with the other one? It is possible. Is it easier with the newer one? 100% it is easier with the new one. So again, it's not absolutely necessary, but it's better to have a newer camera. Better ISO, easier job. Again, if we speak about wedding photography, it's very bad when you have your ISO 1600, the maximum you can go, and you go in a wedding and you would need, you know, that 6400 to be able to shoot at 6400. You would need that, but you can't. So in some situations, it can save your life. Is it possible without? It is possible without it. Is it better to have it? It is better to have it. So in my opinion, all these things, you know, are very important if you want to sell your images. If you shoot for yourself, it doesn't matter. You look only at the artistic value of the photo, that's not a big issue at all. But if you want to sell your images, if you want to please your customers, these things are important. Now, sharper and micro contrasty lenses. Again, these are not camera, these are about the lenses. And obviously about the sensor as well, because it also depends on the sensor. Mostly it depends on the lens, but it will depend on the sensor as well. So if you have sharper and micro contrasty lenses, like the newer lenses, you know, you have better images. You don't have to work so much in post-processing. It will make your life easier. Now, all in all, if we take all this in consideration, all this will help to get a nice poppy and nice colored and nice micro contrast in the images and a nice, very nice image. But like I said at the beginning, all this is useless if you don't know how to manipulate the light, if you don't know how to compose your images, because these things will grow the artistic value of your photos. All the other things will help you to sell your photos, but in the same time, you must have artistic value on your photos. And to get artistic value, you have to be able, you have to know how to compose your images, you know, what kind of posing techniques you are using, where do you pose your subject, in which situation, in which place will you put them to stay, you know, that is increasing the artistic value of the photos. Now, you have to plan your shot. And all the time when you plan your shot, you have to be able to recognize the situation, the scene, and what you want to do and how you can overcome the problems if they are in those situations. These two goes hand in hand, in my opinion. These things are going absolutely hand in hand. So we can't say that, oh, the camera gear is not important. It is important, but in the same time, you must know a lot and you must learn a lot to get artistic value in your photos. So I hope that this video was helpful to you guys. I hope that you liked it. If you liked it, please like and subscribe and share my videos. And other than that, I wish you a great day and I'll see you in the next one.